Once viewed as a developing nation, China has emerged as a world superpower over the past few decades. In the 70s, economic reform laid the foundation for China's GDP growth. In the 80s, they grew militarily, positioning themselves as a force to be reckoned with, building the world's largest army. China's mission to become a superpower left no stone unturned, putting the world on notice as they vowed to dominate in every sector. The road to technological supremacy began early in the 21st century as China's leadership began implementing new policies to appropriate technology from foreign nationals. Growing tired of foreign nations profiting off the backs of the Chinese people, China decided that if you were going to do business with China, you would need to share your proprietary technology with the state. This is the story of how China rose from the ashes to become arguably the world's most powerful nation. For those of you that don't know, China's economic rise is due largely to their adoption of capitalism. China practices a unique form of state capitalism, which allows private institutions to engage in business all around the world, independent from governmental control. Those private institutions, however, still must fully comply with any requests made by the state. It is believed that these private institutions are really extensions of the Chinese government and act on their behalf, but this is yet to be proven. What is known is that Huawei, Panda Electronics Group, and 57 other Chinese companies are banned from doing business within the US. Why are these companies banned? They are banned because the US government believes that those organizations are spying, stealing data, and ultimately pose a national security threat to the United States. While the world was playing checkers, China was playing chess. In the early 2000s, the largest company in Canada, Nortel Networks, was attempting a turnaround as they struggled to adopt the newest technology, the internet. Known mostly for office management software, the corporate giant needed to shift gears fast as one of the leaders in tech were now finding themselves following. With the stock price falling, a small Chinese company known mostly for telecommunications at the time swooped in to save the day. Huawei Technologies offered to supply Nortel with telecommunications equipment for basically nothing as a way of getting into the Canadian market. What Nortel executives didn't know at the time, Huawei was using their technology to steal intellectual property and source sensitive data from Nortel, which would later aid in the destruction of the company and ultimately lead Nortel to bankruptcy. What was once a top 10 company in the world became worthless due to mismanagement and trust in a small foreign firm. In the liquidation of Nortel's assets, the compromised technology was then sold to the highest bidder, giving Huawei entry into other tech companies around the world. In the future, Huawei would burst onto the tech scene with stolen technology and immediately become a major player on the world stage. Huawei didn't stop with just Nortel, but had sights on a much larger target. Around the same time of the Nortel dealings, Huawei was working towards installing their spyware in another part of the world. Being able to provide 4G and 5G capabilities, Huawei became an attractive partner for small regional internet providers. Once again, Huawei saw an opportunity to trade parts at little to no cost in exchange for access to a new market. The Midwest United States was primed for new business and provided a largely underserved market. At first glance, it may have seemed like happenstance. Huawei was building relationships with regional telecom companies conveniently located within close proximity of US military sites, bases that contain intercontinental ballistic missiles. It took time before the Department of Defense caught on to what was happening. The president was briefed, but no immediate action was taken. It wasn't until a new president was voted into office with a promise to put America first. Donald Trump waged a trade war against China and vowed to push back against China's efforts in tech dominance. Meanwhile, overseas, China was working on diversification. Lacking in China's portfolio was a dominant semiconductor company. Enter ARM, a British semiconductor company responsible for producing billions of semiconductor products worldwide. A semiconductor is the foundation for all electronic devices, essentially the microchip that allows all electronic devices to function. Mobile devices, computers, cars, gaming consoles all rely on semiconductors to work. ARM was one of the biggest players in this space, and they wanted access into the Chinese market. access that would cost them
everything.
In 2016, ARM was purchased by SoftBank, the same company that both took Uber public and lost billions on WeWork. SoftBank brokered a deal to sell 51% of the ARM China subsidiary to Chinese investors for $775 million. Under Chinese control, ARM patents were transferred to China, essentially giving free rein over all ARM intellectual property. Catching on to what was happening, ARM leadership tried intervening and forcing a vote to remove CEO Alan Wu from his position. Only one major problem remained. Alan Wu was registered as the license owner on all company documentation, which according to Chinese law made him the rightful owner. As the rightful owner of the ARM China subsidiary, Wu had full control and could not be removed. What happened next took the business world by surprise and shed light on what could go wrong when doing business with China. Under Alan Wu's leadership, ARM China declared independence from ARM, changed the company name and logo, and began selling ARM products as a completely unique and independent business. With their entire business in China held hostage, ARM attempted to regain control and take back their company. All attempts to regain control proved futile as there was nothing that could be done. The company formerly known as ARM China now belonged to China. If what has been previously mentioned doesn't raise concerns, how about the fact that China has nearly monopolized the entire electric vehicle market and all of the minerals that are used to create the batteries that power EVs? As the world focus on green energy increases, China is positioned to benefit the most. While most world superpowers have been buying foreign land for decades, China has been strategically trading with mineral-rich nations offering support with infrastructure in exchange for land rights. China is the largest foreign landowner in the US, Canada, South America, Africa, and Asia. What does China plan on doing with all of that land? With China controlling nearly all the minerals used to combat climate change, what does this mean for the future of green energy? With insider access into global telecommunications, a stranglehold on the world supply on semiconductors, precious land minerals, and millions of acres around the world, China is head and shoulders above the competition. Should we as ordinary citizens be concerned of a Chinese effort into world domination? Or is this all just coincidence?